Ladies and gentlemen, foes and fans, friends, and of course, fudders, thank you for being here for Shy Speaks SHIB. And we're very excited to have a Shibarium project with us today. I'm always happy to bring on devs and projects from Shibarium because it is our baby. It's something that Kyle and I worked on for a while to make sure that not only it's a great foundation, but also that there are a lot of tools that are available for developers and for users. And one of those utility projects is with us today. And that project is Hoichi. Now, what's really exciting about today's call or today's podcast and different than other podcasts that I've had here that you've listened to is that we have two guests joining us and one of the first females as well on the podcast. So welcome to Stan and Samantha from Hoichi. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank
We're
you for
excited to be
having
here.
us.
Super excited.
My pleasure to have you both. Thank you both for being here. As I stated, let's talk a little bit. There's a lot going on in the world today. And I'll give you guys the date so you know when this was recorded. It's May 12th. And we've seen all types of things happen in the last week. And I want to talk about some of it because it's really important in the larger scope of the world. The world we exist in today is really on a precipice of either going in one direction or going in the other direction. I saw a very interesting post from James Cameron, who you all know or may not know, produced Terminator. Never seen Terminator, you're going to be lost for a few minutes. If you have seen Terminator, then this is a little scary because what he said is that the future with AI is actually more scary than his Terminator outcome because one, we're living in it right now. And two, there's a possibility that our use of AI becomes all encompassing and eventually, and when I say eventually, I mean much sooner than we think, it seems as though AI will be smarter than humans. And then how will it be controlled? Another interesting conversation that was at the World Economic Forum where they begin to discuss this idea. How can we control AI? And as of right now, the answer is no one knows. And when you begin to think about the idea that AI is smarter than humans in the near future, you have to really question yourself about what is really at the core. What is humanity truly about? A friend of mine, a very close friend of mine, asked me a few days ago, what do I consider the point of life to be? And as you can probably imagine, I gave a very interesting answer that this deals a lot with us taking care of each other, taking care of the earth, and taking care of the animals that live on this earth with us, which honestly, let's be real, we are doing a good job at that. Over the last few months, we've seen a variety of, and years, and decades, when you kind of think about it, centuries, if you want to go even further, we've seen a variety of incredible, senseless wars, a variety of unprovoked attacks, prolonged revenge, and calls for peace that are just falling on deaf ears, it would seem. Now, I don't know where we'll be in the world when you hear this podcast, but a few days ago, we had our new Pope. That it was, I guess I'll say, initiated into the Catholic order. And an exciting time for those who are Catholic, so I congratulate them. Very interesting that it's the first American. Kind of odd for me to hear a Pope speak in English and in Spanish, may I also add, since he spent so much time in Peru. And it all ties to something that he said, which is a call for worldwide peace. And you have to ask yourself, how could that ever be? What would it take for the world to actually find world peace? And at its core, again, it goes back to the core of what humanity is really about. When you think about it, when you observe cultures from all around the world, and I've talked about this before in our podcast, humanity really wants the same thing. They want peace. They want the ability to enjoy their life with their families in whatever way that could mean. Obviously, the ability to have the basic necessities and truly this pursuit of happiness or success in whatever forms that it may be. Most people on the planet, in my opinion, are actually good people. So why are we in what seems to be a perpetual cycle of endless anger and hatred for one another over minute differences? And it's interesting when you think about something that I believe Reagan once said, President Reagan, former President Reagan. Let me clarify that. He said how quickly humanity would come together if there was some existential threat from outer space. But that's probably not the real threat. The real threat is when your AI that knows absolutely everything about you decides humanity is really the problem. And is it? It's a question that we have to ask ourselves. And if humanity isn't the problem, and it's just a small faction of people who decided they can take over the world and screw everyone, then what would it take for us to actually solve it? And I think the answer lies in how we treat each other. Not only how we treat each other, but how we work together to solve the world's problems. I've heard multiple times, and some of you may heard, there's enough water on the planet for everyone. There's enough food on the planet for everyone. There's enough money on the planet for everyone. Yet everyone doesn't have most of these things. And with super intelligence on the cusp of our near future, what happens when those solutions are presented from an ultra intelligence and we ignore it? How do you think the AI would respond? It's very interesting. But now, where we don't have that problem, we do have the opportunity, a very unique opportunity, to work together to solve problems, to build a better world, and to do just honestly awesome stuff. And I'm really proud that Shibarium is one of those places where awesome things are taking place. If you take the time to actually go into the dev portal, to go into the community and talk to the projects that are really working, that are really focused on utility, and of course memes, but with a central belief in decentralization and building a better world, and in working together to kind of unified, you'll find some really great projects. And with all that being said, I think that's a good intro to talk about Hoichi and the Torii Gateway, some of the other things that this project is working on. And I think with that being said, we'll get started with Stan and Samantha. Again, thank you both for being here and for letting me rant. How are you both?
We're good. Thank you. We appreciate the invitation. We're super excited to be here and super honored.
The honor is mine, of course. So, for someone who doesn't know anything, the first time listening to the podcast, possibly, they don't even know what Shibarium is. Give them a little bit of an intro about Hoichi and the Torii Gateway and why it's important.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess I'll go ahead and start, Samantha, if that's okay. So a little bit of an intro to Hoichi and the Torii Gateways. All of us are here trying to make the world a better place, like you mentioned. As long as we can focus and work together, then we can make things better. And Hoichi token was created under those parameters, under those ideas. And the original plan was to create a smart contract where everybody has the ability to have input and to have the power to influence the decisions of the whole, of the group, of the community. And so we have a developed smart contract, which our dev designed to have basically each buy and each sell with a small tax to improve and collect resources so that we could build. But I mean, essentially for anybody who's brand new and doesn't even know what Shibarium is per se, Hoichi is a smart contract that a cryptocurrency that basically provides a safe haven for people to be able to buy crypto and then also interact on the Ethereum blockchain as well as the Shibarium blockchain, which essentially is just a place for us to be able to conduct transactions, investments, business, exchange tokens, and do everything that we would like to do at a much lower cost and much more efficient rate than most other places that you find. But the issue is that there are parts of the world, there are parts of crypto that aren't connected, that don't provide an ability for everybody to have access to those resources, right? Going back to the metaphor of what's available to the world and what isn't, and whether or not it's feasible for other people to make it a level playing field for everybody. Shibarium does exactly that. But the question, right, if you will, it's like having multiple lands, multiple countries to travel to with no way to get there. And so you have all these different blockchains but many of them act alone. Many of them don't have ties back to each other. And we're just now starting to step into this part of cryptocurrency where it's becoming normal now for us to have highways, freeways, roads, paths to these blockchains. And so the Torii Gateway, which is the utility developed and created, designed by Hoichi, is essentially a way to connect all these different places.
Oh, yeah. Maybe you can just repeat the part where you said the Torii gateways, it's the first time we're getting highways and byways where everything's
Yep.
connected.
Yep.
And that's when we do.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, let me jump back into that. So, in reference back to what Hoichi and the Torii Gateway and the utility that we have developed is basically providing a connection, a path, freeways, roads, all leading to each other so that we have the ability to move freely. And it gave people the ability to go from just into cryptocurrency in general, but not then just be tied to one specific place, but actually find places where they're able to do things more freely at a cost that's lower to them, making crypto better. So providing the ability to go from Ethereum then to Shibarium, from BaseChain to Shibarium, from Arbitrum to Shibarium, and all these different blockchains. We've got 1,500 different tokens over 60 plus blockchains all connected. And we don't want to stop there. We want to bust open the bridge as wide as we can get it, and make it all encompassing to provide anybody, new people who are learning about crypto, new people who are learning about all these different blockchains, and provide them the ability to then come to the place that they would like to find as their home. And we hope we can make that place be Shibarium, because we are firm believers that the goal then is to make it so those resources, those things that are normally available to a few, can be available to everybody. And that's the
That's
end
so
goal.
important. It's such an important statement that you make there. When you begin to travel to other places, it's quite interesting if you have like a mindset of a country that is supposedly prosperous, but still facing incredible inflation, and things like that. You think, okay, a couple pennies for a transaction is not that much. And I'm old enough to remember when the transactions on Ethereum were hundreds of dollars, when we were at peak bull market a few years ago. But the truth that you can get a Shibarium transaction many times well below a penny is extremely important for this inclusivity for the entire world. It truly does balance I guess you could say it balances the scales so that everyone has an opportunity to interact with their favorite projects. And that's why I think what you guys are building is actually pretty darn important in the larger scale of what Shibarium can be, and is since it's well over, I think, 1.2 billion transactions at this point. So I'm glad you touched on that. And it's quite interesting. I know that the Torii Gateway also uses some very unique technology as well. Isn't that correct?
Yes, absolutely. So and that's, a source of pride for us, because in time back to decentralization, definitely provides the type of security that protects the community, not just the developers, not just the tech, but the people as a whole. So the Fusion DCRM tech makes it so that the bridging process, the protocol that is used, is pretty much up until this point impenetrable. And I'm sure there will need to be security updates and other things that we include as we progress. But up until now, we've been able to boast and highlight the fact that, like all bridges, they have encryption keys and they have security protocols to try to make liquidity locked so that people can't access it. You can't have bad actors come in and steal the money from hardworking people. And the way that the Fusion DCRM does that is the security as a whole must be done in a group fashion through a multi-sig protocol, which basically breaks the encryption key into shards. So even if a bad actor were to compromise one wallet, which has a piece of the encryption keys for the bridge, they don't have all of the encryption. They don't have all of the whole key to be able to access the liquidity or the bridge itself. And in this way, it is community driven because in order for any transactions to occur on the Torii Gateway with the Fusion tech, there must be a collaboration of those keys and those multi-sigs in order to conduct any type of transactions. So you really can't do this without it being a community effort. And that goes to show what kind of power you have when a community becomes a utility. And that utility, excuse me, is designed to basically strengthen the people that are doing it for each other. And so with that encryption technology and aggregation, we're able to pull liquidity from other chains. So low liquidity on chains doesn't impact the actual transactions too much. And truly, Hoichi and the Torii Gateway wouldn't have come into existence without this same type of effort. Everything we've done has been done on the backs, on the hard work and effort of everybody as a whole, the admin, the dev, the holders. I mean, all the way down to everybody donating to provide the bone liquidity to even be able to move back and forth from chains, from Ethereum to Shibarium or any other blockchain. So, but yeah, the security involved with this is just like none I've ever seen. And it's something that I feel is important because people want to get into this realm of cryptocurrency, this world, and do so in a way that makes them feel like not at every turn, they're going to get scammed, rugged, or taken advantage of. And so we're trying as best as possible to implement tools and technology that will help provide that safety in learning how to access all those resources and get involved with all those favorite things that you talked about, their favorite tokens, their favorite projects, their favorite NFTs, and to do it in a way that doesn't cause them to feel like they need to, look over their shoulder every 5 seconds. So it's super exciting. Right, Samantha?
And super important too, right? Dealing with the bridges seem to be one of the weak spots of crypto.
Correct.
So to hear the advanced technologies being used is always good, and to hear it being used on Shibarium is great. I love memes, of course, obviously we all do, but I also love to hear projects that are building real tech and trying to solve a real world problem. I think that's very important. I think it's underrated in crypto just because everyone wants to get rich quick and of course to get rugged. So super important. Now, Samantha, before this podcast, we talked a little bit about not only the tech, because the tech is there, but also about the community and friendships. And I wanted to touch on that a little bit because it's super important. That's really where the human element comes in. So tell me more about the Hoichi community and how friendships have been developed and all that good stuff. I really want to hear that because I think it's important and our community would love to hear it.
Well, the project was launched in August of 2022 and it was like stealth launch. A lot of the people that has gravitated toward the project, are looking for projects that really truly embody true decentralization. And through the over 2 years that we've known each other, the community has grown pretty tight knit. And everybody that's there embodies the vision, the Hoichi vision that was expressed by our developer. And we have developed a lot of friendships. For example, me and Stan, sometimes I feel like we're joined together by the hips or we're twins or something like that. We balance each other out and everybody works well together. And we're always discussing ideas and together. We have a group that is called Hoichi Masters, and a lot of our admins are in there. And before we bring things to the community, we always discuss it as a team. We vote on things. We are a DAO. I think that's one of the things that attracted people to the project as well. And we have implemented different kind of voting systems where you have an extra layer of protection on top of that, where you don't have to worry about whales or somebody that can come in and take advantage of the community or even bad actors within the community. So we have done a lot of things to put safety nets for the community. And, through the times that, that we've been together, we've had people stay, we've had people leave, but the ones that truly believe in the project are still here, and we're we're fighters. We just keep going each day.
I think that's really the key of crypto overall is to just fight through the ups and the downs,
Hmm.
because they will take place. And, some of the best investors in the world, like Warren Buffett, they love the down times, but being in the development process, not so much. I wanted to ask a question, and this is kind of a curveball, so I'm sorry about this, Samantha, but there aren't many women in crypto as many as there are men. I guess it's based on like the stats that I can tell, probably 80-20. Any advice for other women, especially women like yourself that also help with the development of a project? Is there any advice you would give to some of the female listeners out there, who would love to hear your opinion or your experience?
Well, it's always been challenging for women in cryptocurrency. I mean, all around. What I would recommend is just keep trying, keep working, and keep expanding your knowledge, expand your reach, get to know a lot of people, develop friendships, find the projects that you love, and support it wholeheartedly.
Good advice. Excellent advice. So, as we get closer to the end of this particular podcast, so many great things already talked about going on with Hoichi. My question now is, what can we expect in the future?
Samantha, I'll let you lead that one off.
Well, right now, our tech supports EVM only. We do want to expand to support non-EVM. We want to be able to incorporate Solana, Tron, non-EVM networks. And also, we want to make sure that we are able to upgrade our bridge and build a better interface that's friendly and it's safe. And our plan is to also be able to provide on and off ramp for fiat. And also, we want to be able to reward our community members more as we are able to expand.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're looking at future staking platform, and then, but more importantly, we want to get, like Samantha said, we would like to bust open the bridge and make it all encompassing so that we're not just focused on a select group of blockchains, but really opening it up to others. And so we definitely are putting a lot of effort and concentration towards getting Solana, for example, on the Torii Gateway so that we can start to get more flow from other blockchains and other communities into and out of and get some additional liquidity onto the Shibarium blockchain as well. So very exciting times. We are, like you said, when it's downtime in development, maybe not so fun, but when you've got people like Samantha pushing, it's going to get done. It's what we do.
That's really great to hear. And, it's something that I know Kyle and I have been focused on as well. Obviously, you have to build where the liquidity is, especially when you have a bridge like the Torii Gateway. That becomes really important. So I'm really happy and excited to hear that that's the direction you're moving in, and excited to continually see the developments and the power of the community, as Hoichi grows and as Shibarium grows over time, and we continue to attempt to make the world a better place. And I think that's all the time we have for today, running just at about 30 minutes. It's truly been a pleasure to talk to you both. Is there any final words? Definitely want to give the website so that all listeners know where they can find out more about Hoichi.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. You can head on over to www.teh, so a little play on the www.teh Hoichi token, HOICHITOKEN.com. And if you would like to go and check out our bridge, our Torii Gateway utility, the link for the dApp specifically is bridge, BRIDGE TEHHOICHITOKEN.com. So bridge, thehoichitoken.com. And that's where you can find white paper, community papers, a lot of different things that'll explain more about who we are and where we come from and all the stuff that we discussed here today. So thank you for that, Shy. We appreciate it.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Well, I just have one final question. Does Hoichi mean something? Is there like a story behind the name? I'm curious.
Ooh, good question. Samantha, you want to answer that one? Man, don't let Samantha's lovely soft-spoken voice fool you. She is We call her the Feather Queen. She ain't no small bird, small pigeon. She's an eagle out there, man. But
Uh,
to
just a
answer
little
that
shy
question,
right now.
yeah, absolutely. To answer that question, yeah, absolutely. So Hoichi was derived from a very famous Japanese folklore. Hoichi the Earless is a Japanese biwa player. So a biwa is kind of, almost like a guitar, best way to describe it for anybody who doesn't know the culture. But he is a blind musician and ended up becoming so famous, so popular because of his humbleness. He was just so, humility, and his song, his written word, his music was so good that old Japanese samurai warriors would come to hear him play. So he could rise the dead with his music, and it was so amazing that everyone from all parts of Japan would want to come to hear him sing and play his biwa. So just goes to show that even the most humble and the most meek can become very well known and very powerful in what they do. So humble and meek does not mean weak in any sense of the word. Good question, Shy.
My pleasure. I'm always curious about things like that because, the history of a token and the core ethos is so important. We talked a lot about the ethos, and I wanted to get a little more understanding of the history. And now that I have that, it's actually really powerful and beautiful, I think, that was the story chosen to represent your project. And I tip my hat to you both. Kudos on building on Shibarium. Thank you. And for being here during our development throughout the entire time. I hope that I have done you proud and I will continue to help push as hard as I can to make sure that we build even more tools for the community. Our community, of course, SHIB community as a whole, and all of the projects on Shibarium. And we're always excited to have you and hope to have you back when you have some new announcements. You're always welcome here on Shy Speaks SHIB. And with that being said, thank you both, Stan and Samantha. Have a great time to all of my listeners. As always, thank you, God, for giving us the time to be here and the ability to have this fantastic conversation. To all my listeners, have a great day, and we will see you in the next episode as we continue to talk to more incredible projects and learn about technology, the future, decentralization, how we can build a better world. Take care, everyone. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.